Bocchi the Rock is one of the worst anime I've ever seen in my entire life. It's such a god-awful piece of shit that makes me feel nothing but contempt and depression for the world around me and to all humanity. I absolutely despise Hitori Gotou because of how much she disgustingly reminds me of myself. After watching 6 episodes of this series, I wish nothing more than to do anything I can to erase this disgraceful trash from my mind and eyes as quickly as possible. And of course, that's a lie. In actuality, I love Bocchi the Rock. It's honestly one of the best anime of the year, and it came out of fucking nowhere. I mean, I didn't know about this anime before it came out. I didn't see any trailers, even though there was 2 of them, which you're actually watching on screen right now as I'm talking. And I heard nobody talking about it on social media. It's one of those anime that came from under the radar, but managed to capture the immediate attention of everybody who saw it, and now it's one of the most discussed anime of the season. One thing I've been noticing in anime recently is better written introverts. Introverts is something that for many years I don't think have been handled very well. I'm not one of those idiots that because something I relate to isn't represented well, then it makes me hate the medium or heavily criticize it. I've loved anime my entire life. I'm aware that it's a cultural difference, and all cultures must be eternally respected no matter what. That, of course, doesn't mean that I don't want anime to get better at writing introverts, as well as people with social anxieties, which aren't exactly the same, but do often cross over. Even though I say I don't hate the medium because introverts are often not portrayed well, I have dropped anime because of it, albeit rarely. It's rare for me to drop anime in general, and this is no exception. The one time when I dropped an anime for this reason was Origairu, or my teen romantic comedy As Wrong As I Expected Snafu. I don't want to go into too much depth here, but I will possibly talk about it further on my channel in the future. But I'll just say that I loved Hikigaya, but I thought that the way everybody treated him was unfair and horrible considering he was an introvert, not to mention dealing with many issues outside of that, which they were just showing no empathy for. I made it 2 or 3 episodes into season 2 and then dropped it. But anyways, earlier this year alone, we had another great introvert in anime, Yui Hachimitsu, from Shikimori Isn't Just a Cutie, who was stunningly written, and my favorite part of that show, even though I enjoyed the entire thing. However, I think Bocchi the Rock is several steps better yet. First of all, the introvert in question, Hitori Gotou, is the main character, so we're able to spend a lot more time with her, as well as relate to her and watch her grow and develop. Gotou has great aspirations for her future. She wants to play in a band. Not only does she play guitar, but she sings as well. However, there's one problem. She suffers from extreme social anxiety, which prevents her from being able to perform in front of people. That in and of itself is nothing to be ashamed of, as public speaking is the most common phobia worldwide, and I would imagine that public singing would just be an extension of that, and perhaps even more common because of the fear of being tone deaf would likely be added to that. But her anxieties go even further, because she can't even speak to other people, which prevents her from being able to make friends at all, let alone join a band. This is showcased expertly at the very beginning of episode 1. We see her in elementary school, where her class was being broken up to do an activity, but she wasn't able to speak up and join a group, so she was left all alone. Already right off the bat, my heart screams in agony for her. Way to get me interested in a character in literally 5 seconds, if that. When she gets done with school, she goes home right away with nobody but her family waiting for her and watches TV. That's basically the life that I still live today. Just replace school with work and replace TV with anime, manga, and video games. However, it's during one of these times that she sees an interview on TV with a member of a band who claims that he is also an introvert and a band is a place where even a person like him can shine. That's when Hitori's dream begins. Her dream to learn guitar, join a band, and finally shine, and have everybody looking at her. She practices on her father's guitar for 3 more years, but she doesn't attempt to join or form a band during this entire time. One thing I like is that we get to hear not only her speak occasionally, very soft-spoken obviously, but also her inner thoughts, which are much louder and more fast-paced, riddled with anxiety and stress, which is painfully realistic. Our minds tend to run a mile a minute, and think about possible outcomes for our actions, often negative outcomes, which is not always necessary. We overthink and our brains almost always take us to the worst possible outcome. And we're louder and much more frantic in the safety and confines of our minds. One of my favorite lines is, "I have to start a band or die trying," which reminds me of my desire to become a published author. Different artistic expressions, but same shit. Hitori Gotou quickly learns that just because you have dreams and aspirations doesn't mean much. You also have to have convictions and the will to carry them out. Another great scene is when she's posting covers of her songs online, and she gets so excited when she gets positive comments. The struggle of a barely YouTuber like myself, am I right? By the way, please comment, I'm so lonely. Although, I call her a barely YouTuber, but to be perfectly honest, we also learn later on that she has over 30,000 subscribers, so she's actually doing pretty damn good for herself, compared to my 9. In reality, Hitori has put little effort into making friends, but she's done well in convincing herself that she has. She bought CDs and put them on her desk, she wore band merch very apparently, and she even put a song request in to be played over the radio, which was a death metal song that she was obsessed with lately, which is the hardest I've laughed at an anime in a while. I have to hand it to her, that takes courage. I wouldn't be able to do something like that, even as a 28-year-old man, despite how hilarious it would be. On one hand, all of these acts are certainly better than nothing, but on the other hand, not by much, because if you want to make friends, you have to take affirmative action. It's possible that people could notice these acts and attempt to strike up a conversation with you, but it's also rather unlikely. The people surrounding you might not be into the same stuff that you're showing off, or they might not want to be intrusive. Hell, they might be suffering from the same issues as you. One of you has to break out of your comfort zone in order for the other to be able to. The series does a great job of showing the juxtaposition between how she thinks she's portraying herself and how she actually is. She thinks she's putting on the vibes of this awesome rocker chick, when in reality she doesn't even look like a girl that's into heavy metal at all. I mean by stereotypical standards. She hasn't really changed a bit of her appearance since elementary school, outside of growing her hair longer. And like I said before, even if she did, in most cases, she would have to take affirmative action to go out and make friends instead of expecting other people to make friends with her just because of how she looks and what she's into. Now, in Hitori's case, she does eventually get lucky that a girl named Nijika Ijichi strikes up a conversation with her after seeing her guitar in the park. You might think this ruins the themes of the show, but it's fine for 2 reasons. One, the fact still remains that this may have happened sooner if she took affirmative action. And 2, this explores the bigger themes of the social anxiety, because even though a girl wants to make friends with her, she has no idea how to communicate with her. Every issue that I noted in the paragraphs above still exists. Just because someone wants to be your friend doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good with the whole friendship thing right off the bat. I also love how this anime shows the juxtaposition between introverts and extroverts. Hitori is very introverted, but Nijika is quite extroverted, and their banter is hilarious and realistic, how Nijika tends to unknowingly make Hitori very uncomfortable and scared, but she also admires how outgoing and excitable that Nijika tends to be. And there's also other introverts in the band, which helps Hitori out a lot too. When trying to get a shy person to come out of their shell, it almost always has to be gradual. You can't force them in front of people and hope for magic to happen. So that's also an aspect that hits close to home and makes me love this anime even more. And that's the formula that the series flirts with, using comedy and slice of life to explore complex, very realistic issues that this character struggles with. That's what the slice of life genre in anime is great at, and this series does it expertly. And make no mistake, this series does go extremely deep into these issues. It doesn't just graze the surface. As the series progresses, Hitori makes more friends as her band grows in members, but her growth is rather slow. The realism is the biggest thing that makes this anime so engaging, while of course adding the standard anime flair that makes it phenomenally entertaining. Now let me just say there's nothing wrong with being an introvert. It's not something you have control over and you shouldn't feel bad about it. However, it can be extremely lonely, especially if it's compounded with social anxieties, because humans naturally crave the attention from other humans, unfortunately, whether that's romantic or just a friendship. The way we're wired to connect with others does naturally battle against our introverted nature, but don't think I'm saying that you need to somehow stop being introverted, because that's simply untrue and also impossible. It's a constant struggle that we all fight. This series gets so much right about introverts. Our inability to speak with others and make friends, our inability to say no when someone wants to do things with us, contemplating pretending being sick to get out of having to interact with others, all the while wanting to have friends and do things with them. Our minds constantly coming up with the worst possible conclusions, which are more often than not just complete fabrication or at least over-exaggeration. The juxtaposition between our frantic, over-emotional inner world and our soft-spoken, rock-like outer self. The fact that introverts often need some time to recharge after very limited stunts with social interaction. Honestly, that's often true even for introverts who are good with social interaction. Thinking that one step forward is 1,000 steps forward. Getting completely flustered and excited over the most minor of compliments, whether it's in real life or online, and so many other things. And with all the meaningful themes in this series, it's complemented by incredible comedy. Like, I can't believe it. This anime did the impossible. It did something that Nagatoro failed to do. It got me to laugh hard at a character that has social anxieties that I personally share. And I said laugh at, not laugh with, because Hitori Gotou hardly ever laughs in this series, and when she does, it's usually topped off by her emotions dropping once again. But I don't remember the last time I've laughed this hard at an anime. I honestly don't see what the series could do in the future that could make me hate it. I suppose anything's possible, but the only thing I could think of is if it does start to imply that there's something wrong with being an introvert and that she needs to be cured of that. Currently, Hitori Gotou does seem to have this mentality. I mean, she's directly stated that she wants to be cured of being an introvert. But just because the character has this mentality doesn't necessarily mean that it's prevalent in the themes of the series. But that's really the only thing. Other than that, it's impressed me so damn much already that nothing else I could imagine could turn me away from it. Outside of it not having a happy ending, but come on, that's phenomenally unlikely. And that does it for me. In the comment section down below, let me know your thoughts on the series and on this video. Let me know of any other introverts in anime that you feel are well written and why. This is probably the absolute best of them I've seen thus far. I love Hitori Gotou so much. She's already become one of my favorite waifus of the year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more content in the future, hit the notification bell so that you never miss an upload from me, and comment on the video down below. Please, please, please let me know how I can improve. and help me grow my channel, because I only recently started making these videos, and I want constructive criticism so I know how I can improve them, and I really want to grow this YouTube channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.